Working with colour in Photoshop. Now you can define two colours for use with your tools, and these are the foreground and the background colours. And these are defined by two colour swatches down here at the bottom of the tools panel. Now the two symbols above the swatches allow you to reset the swatches to black and white, or to toggle between foreground and background colours. So this little one here, that's reset to black and white. So if these were not black and white, I'll just toggle them. This bendy arrow here, that's toggle. So basically if I click that toggle, then it swaps the foreground and the background colours round. And if I want to reset to black and white, I can just click on that one. Now there's some keyboard shortcuts. If you hover over this one, you'll see that there's a keyboard shortcut of D for resetting the colours. And if I hover over that one, you'll see there's a keyboard shortcut of X for actually toggling the colours. Now what I mean by reset is I'll just make that one say red, and I'll make that one say blue. And if I wanted to reset those to black and white, then I could go and click this little symbol at the top here, or I could just press the D key on the keyboard. And then the X key toggles. Okay, to select a colour, all you do is click in the swatch. So I'll just select here a foreground colour. I'll say set foreground colour. You can see the tooltip there. I'll click in it and I get my colour picker come up. And now I can change the colour. At the moment you can see here it's set to black right in this corner. White is right up at this top corner. Now the first thing we're going to do is pick our major colour, and we do that with this column here, and we can click in it, or we can get these two little triangles and we can move it up and down till we find a colour that we want. So we say, right, okay, well that's a blues colour that I want. But at the moment I haven't actually set my colour. I've just said I want something bluey. What I've got to do to specifically reference a colour is to move my mouse into the square and click. And you'll know that's happened because here you've got a before and after. So here it's saying it was black. The colour now is going to be blue. But now what kind of blue? Well, we can grab that little circle there by clicking on it with the left mouse button. And if we drag left to right, we'll change the saturation. So we'll get less saturated, so we can get right out to grey, or we can get really, really saturated over on the right hand side. Now by dragging up and down, we change the luminosity. So we can do, which is the lights and the darks. So we can go from a lighter sort of blue right down to a really, really dark blue, and then eventually to black. So we get a colour that we want, we let go, and then again we haven't actually selected the colour yet until we click OK. And then if you notice now, down in the foreground colour swatch here, it's changed to blue. Now the foreground colour is the colour that's used on all the painting tools. So if I go and select my paintbrush, and I'll just make it a little bit bigger using the square brackets, and now I can paint, and I'll be painting with blue. If I now go and change my foreground colour and say make it red, I'll now be painting with red. Now we can also fill from foreground and background colours. And there's two really interesting keyboard shortcuts here that you might want to use. Now fill from foreground colour is Alt plus backspace, and fill from background colour is Control and backspace. And these do tend to be very useful things, and you can fill either in a selection or in a layer. Now here we've got a complete layer. I've got red selected as my foreground colour, so I could actually use the keyboard shortcut of Alt plus backspace, and that would fill that completely with red. Or if I wanted Control and backspace, that would fill it with white. So I'll go back, Alt and backspace again to fill it with red. Now we can also use the fill dialog, and that's up here in the edit menu. We can go to edit and fill, and in the contents here we can change this to the foreground colour or the background colour. So if I now go to my background colour, I'll just change that to normal, and then we're going to click OK, and that's going to fill again with white, which is my background colour. I'll try that again, edit and fill, but this time I'll fill with my foreground colour, and I'll click OK, and that fills with red. Now, as I said, you can also fill with selections. I'll just create a selection. I'll just select my Marquee Tool, and I'll drag out a selection. So I've now got a selection live. I'll change my colour. Let's say I want this to be blue, so I'll select a blue colour. But now when I use the keyboard shortcut or the fill dialog, I'll use the keyboard shortcut of Alt and Backspace. I'll actually fill that specific selection with the foreground colour, which is blue. Okay, now there are different ways of defining colour, and I'll just show you that. If I go back onto the colour swatch, well, I'll just get rid of that selection first. If I go back into the colour swatch, you see down in this area here we've got these little radio buttons. We've got a H, S and a B. We've got an R, G and a B. We've got an L, A and a B, and we've got a C, M, Y, K. And down in the bottom here we've got what's called a hex code. And these are basically all the ways, different ways of defining a colour. So HSB is hue, saturation and brightness. And RGB is red, green and blue. So it's basically just different ways, if you like, of mixing a colour. So what we can do is we can look at different ways of actually creating this colour. So this blue here, we can put in 246 parts of hue, 88 parts of saturation, 87 parts of brightness, and it will create that colour. In the same way we can do if we use RGB. We can see that if we put 46 parts of red, 27 parts of green and 223 parts of blue and mix them together, we'll get that same blue. So it's just different ways of actually making the same colour. Okay, let's just cancel that and we'll have a go at a little exercise. So I'll go to fill this with white to start us off. Now I can do that with the keyboard shortcut because white is my background colour. Of Control and Backspace, that'll fill that all with white. And what I'm going to do is just create some areas and fill them. So I'm going to use my rectangular Marquee Tool and I'll draw a little square here. And then I'll fill it with, let's say, black. So I need to set my foreground colour to black. So I'm going to click on my foreground colour and black is right down in this bottom corner. You can see it's gone to black up here. And then I click OK. And then I can do Alt and Backspace to fill that area with black. Okay, I'm going to Control and D to get rid of that. They're my marching ants. And I'll make another one. I'll click and I'll just drag out something like that, but then I'll do a red. So let's say click on there, it doesn't matter which red, just pick any one, a nice deep red colour, click OK, and then Alt and Backspace to fill that with red, and then Control and D to get rid of the marching ants. And we'll have another one, we'll say make a blue one. So we'll just click that, make that into a blue one. So we'll change the foreground colour to blue and then we'll click OK and then Alt and Backspace to fill that in. Okay, we'll do another one. So we'll click and we'll drag out a little colour swatch, something like that. But this time we'll be specific. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my colour picker. But this time I'm going to use HSB and I'm going to set, so I'm going to click in the H and then I'm going to set the hue of 61 and I'm going to click a saturation of 94, and I'm going to click a brightness of 93, and that should give me a nice yellowy colour. So I'm going to click OK to that, and then Alt and backspace to fill that in with yellow. Okay, we'll do that again. Control and D, deselect. I've got my Marquee Tool selected. I'll drag out a square. I'm going to select a colour, but this time we'll use RGB. So I'm going to click in the R, and this time I'll select red of 236, and we'll have green of 12, and we'll have blue of 128, and then we'll click OK, and then we'll do Alt and backspace to fill with like a pinky colour. Okay, we'll have another go. So we'll Control and D to get rid of that selection. We'll draw out another little square. I know I'm getting a bit squashed now at one side. And then we'll try L, A and B, the lab colour space. So we'll go to the colour picker and we'll click on L for lab, and here we'll have, say, 52. We'll have an A of minus 76, and we'll have a B of 94. Don't worry if you don't understand the lab colour space, that's something for another video. I'm just trying to show you how the colour picker works in this video. So we've now basically specified a colour by the LAB colour space. We click OK, and then we can Alt and backspace to fill that in, and there it gets a greeny colour. And then the last one, again we'll draw a little square, and then we'll go in and we'll use a hex code, and the hex code is this little doohickey here, this little hash code. So I'm going to click and drag in there, and I'm going to type in 0099FF, and this is a really specific reference to a specific colour. And then we'll click OK, and then we'll do Alt and backspace, and then we'll do Control and D. Now we can do this for lots of different things. Here we've been filling in with squares, but we can do it with text. So if I click on the text tool, and we'll have a nice big impact text, and we'll do colour. Now at the moment it's the last colour that we picked, so I can accept that. And then I can go and change my colour. So I'm going to go into the colour picker, let's say pick a pinky colour, and now I can go and I can click and select, seeing that I've still got my type tool active over one of the letters, but here you can see in the type tool we've got our own little colour swatch up at the top. So I can click on that, pick another colour, click OK, and then click the tick to accept, and then I've got another colour for the O. And we'll just go through this. I'll select the L, go up, pick another colour, we'll pick a nice red, OK, and then click and drag over the next one, the O, and we'll pick a, say, a brownie colour, and then we'll do a different colour for the U. And again, all I'm doing is just using the colour swatches to define the colour that I want. Now I'll have a greeny colour there, and this one I'll set to say, ooh, let's go for a really shocking pinky purpley colour, and then I'll click the tick when I'm finished. Well, that's it for this tutorial. I really do hope you found that useful. There is a free ebook to accompany the video, which you can download from my website, that's got a couple of tasks to perform what we've just done if you want a bit of practice. Let me know how you get on. If you've got any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments underneath the video. If you like the video, please share it with a friend or two, and click the subscribe button, so when I upload a new video, you're the first to know. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.